Good afternoon. We'll open up a little bit differently than we have in the past since I've done such a poor job with the injury report. Okay, so Chris Harris, we got good news on Chris. I actually think by the end of the bye week, there's a chance he could be up and running. We'll be smart with him. Plantar fasciitis, plateau deal. So really good news there. It wasn't a Jones fracture. Chase Simons came out of the game okay. But he's going to be questionable with a biceps injury, similar to Logan Kopp's a few years ago. Alta Peter has a left calf contusion. He's questionable right now. Jackson Williams is probable with a toe. Jalen Duffy is questionable to probable with a toe. And then Jalen Archibald, I wanted to bring him up. That was part of the reason I did the list. He's probably 2 or 3 weeks away, and he's done a really good job staying in shape, staying engaged in special teams and so forth and so on. We're excited we'll get him back at some point. Jack Hansen, a redshirt freshman D lineman that was providing some depth, they're at the 5-6 spot, is out for the year with an ACL injury. And then Silas Evans, unfortunately, just the meniscus has not been responding, and that's why he hasn't really been on the field. And he'll be a long-term kind of DQ, probably 6 months. And so obviously with this weekend and the game, I just kind of want to make sure everybody understands, the story could easily read like NDSU, comes out, not ready to go and sleepwalks through the first quarter. I'm so excited about this group's ability to say we got a game, we value the game, okay, and we're going to play the game to our very best ability. Our energy level, whether it was the pregame meal, the meetings, the walkthrough, the excitement in the locker room, the excitement for each other on the sidelines was at an all-time high, was much improved from the Citadel, and those things matter. I really liked the way the defense came out, started fast. They were efficient. They were 12 out of 13 successful on third down. Get 6, right? We got 12. Okay, so that's a dominant day, and you got to go out there and line up, and it's got to mean something. And I love the way those guys are playing together right now. Special team-wise, we were plus 129 yards. Quite frankly, that was the difference. That's where the huge edge was. I mean, we were matched up with these guys running step for step with them. We were threatening the block point when we were going after it. Kick return, they fair caught the ball. And so, we're humming right now on special teams, and I hope that continues to be an edge. We had 5 difference-making plays on special teams, and that includes a punt over 60, a bunch of categories that we look at. But one thing they did was establish field position for the offense. Offense was 7 of 7, scoring in the gold zone. That's, not to be taken lightly, 6 touchdowns. Third down production, let's look at the numbers and just say it wasn't good enough. And that's how we're approaching it. But a lot of those play calls, a lot of the concepts were dictated by the situation and how I wanted to kind of handle the middle of the third quarter on there, in respect to Tennessee State. Our second effort right now is better at this point of the year than it was at last year. Just the O-line, the surge that they have. I think our running backs are running with an attitude. I think guys are doing a better job of blocking downfield, transitioning to the ball, and so those are some things to be really excited about. Guys, we took care of business. We got off the bus with a purpose in Nashville and played a really clean, good game. 1 penalty, and that was a holding call, against a guy that was in there late in the game, and those fundamentals need to be cleaned up. But to have 0 procedural things in week 2 is damn important, because whether you're playing someone that's ranked number 1 in the country or you're playing somebody that's 50th, you still have to control that. And I'm really pleased with those things. Obviously, we're moving on to Simo. Tom, we call him Took, or the guys in the business do. I worked with a lot of guys that have connections with this guy. Our equipment manager came from Simo. Ryan Napoli worked. A lot of respect for this guy. High-level football guy that's been there, for 12 years, has run a consistent program. And so I'm really looking forward to, before the game, to catch up with Tom and get to see his perspective on some things. They're returning 15 starters, so much different than last week. So I'm open to questions on personnel and those kind of things. 65% of their rushing production's back. 48% of their receiving, 43% of their receiving production's back. Sacks and TFLs from 2024, 30% of that is accounted for with their roster right now. And so, we're playing against someone, we're looking at tape that we can value, and that's exciting. I think offensively, Simo wants to play fast. It's going to be imperative that we control the rhythm of the game. Okay, if they're able to continue to play quick and be comfortable and stay ahead of schedule and ahead of the chains, it could get difficult on us because of the formations, the packs and the bunches, the 2x2 condensed, all surrounded with very good RPO stuff in the run game. I think that's going to be interesting to see how we respond to that, because if we've struggled at all defensively this year, it's been against tempo. And, the Citadel game, most certainly, and then a little bit even last week when they got some things going. Defensively, it's an aggressive group. It's an athletic group, not quite as big as we see in the Missouri Valley typically, so it'll be imperative anybody that's in the blocking conceptually has a job to do blocking is going to have to be able to handle movement. And sometimes that takes some time. That can't be the case. We need to start fast. Multiple blitzes and coverages behind Oki, Bear, where they cover up both guards and the center, a little bit similar to last week. And so it's exciting. I think they pose a challenge. I think they've played solid in their first two games. It's a team that's 1-2 and, quite frankly, averaging a ton of yards on offense. But on the flip side of that, they're giving up some yards on defense. With that, I'll open for questions.
Tim, on that point, you're talking about your players coming out and playing on point. I mean, they're smart guys. They see it on film all week. Are you referencing that they don't play down, or what they see on film all week? And you see what I'm getting at on that level?
Yeah, I could. Sure. No, I'm referencing the fact that I come in here and talk about compete and prove tough, and that we're trying to do it better than it's ever been done before, and we can't waste a single opportunity together. This 2025 team needs to play absolutely its very best every second we're on a football field together. I mean, honestly, it's not about winning and losing. It's about playing to the Bison standard that's really, really high. It's exciting. And trying to figure out, can we reach our full potential? I just appreciate the guys. I shared this with them. I watch a lot of these press conferences. I listen to and so often coaches, and I learned this from Gus Bradley, so it's not me. It's been 12 years since I've told a player I'm proud of them or a team that I'm proud of them. I talk to them in terms of, I'm so excited we get the next chance because we can be better. Man, I think you have more to give. And they're embracing that right now, Jeff, and that's what I'm excited about. Quite frankly, I didn't even give any thought to who in the hell we're playing or where we're playing them. I don't think it matters. I think if we play really tough, clean football, I think we're a really tough out for anybody. And we got to go do that each and every week, and we're just embracing the core values of the program and the standard that's laid down before us.
Coach, through 2 games, what unit has really impressed you? In terms, is it the linebackers? Is it the offensive line? What's really stood out to you?
Well, the kickers, right? I always go somewhere that you're not thinking about, but the kickers have been on point, and I'll share this. Last night, 28 seconds, no timeouts on either side, 50-yard line. Okay, alert Mayday is up and ready, and Cole gets a completion. We go incomplete. I said, well, let's just send him out there, see what he can do. He banged it from 58 yards, and it was good from 64. This guy's getting hot at the right time. I really like the fact that Aaron got a ball clean off his foot in an area where he could actually hammer one. The linebackers are playing really well, led by Logan Kopp. I think the tight end group, I'm going to be honest, I think they're playing really good, but Dan would be telling you, there's a couple guys that missed some opportunities in the block game, but I think them coming away with 5 or 6 catches last week, is moving the offense in the right direction. Defensive line, specifically the D tackles, and that's not to take away from the DNs, the D tackles are playing at a high rate. And again, I don't think it matters who's in front of them. The effort level that Keenan Wilson's playing with and Jackson Dutenheffer is as good as I've seen. And that includes Matt Grotzik. Congratulations to him. He's going in the Hall of Fame on Friday up at Stephen Argyle, and Coach Bowl will be announcing that. Eli Mozart, Levi Perry, those two guys, and Logan Larson's coming on. He can play a little bit better, but he's playing at a high level. So those units, to mention a few.
What's the challenge of playing a 6'8" quarterback?
Getting them to the ground. I mean, 6'8", 253. The target zone's big, but I think we got to get there. We got to hit. We got to wrap up. We probably got to finish with our feet and our knees and our buttocks coming with us and behind us. We can't lunge and grab. We're probably not going to, heel click him out of there. And then the other thing is just, visually he's going to have a good look at what we're doing, right? It's a big, tall guy. It's specifically with him, not his size, but it's his arm strength. He can throw the ball to the field, and then he can deliver on a little bit different platforms with the screen game. I've been impressed with this guy. He's not bad. When he gets time in there and when they're connected with the RPO game and he's delivering it on time, he's pretty good. 248 yards per game right now they're getting. So, yeah, he's big, man. We got to get there and we got to finish, Jeff, would be what I would say.
It's the tallest quarterback you can remember facing.
I think this has got to be it. I mean, Carson has got to be the next biggest guy that I've been involved with, whether it was an opponent or on our team. So 6'8", big guy.
You notice the difference in strength with Barika this year? I mean, he's averaging like 3.5 yards after contact.
I'm telling a lot of the scouts, he's responded to being challenged, to the whole thing about getting on a poster. Who's that going to be? I think with a certain person exiting the program, I think he saw that as a challenge. Like, we're fine. The Bison are fine. He's more decisive this year. And Sam and those group of guys wanted to do better against contact this last week, and they did. I thought we left 50 yards out there against Citadel, and they were going to be pretty determined to make more yards after contact.
Tim, you described being back home after playing 2 on the road, or just the anticipation of finally playing at the Fargo Dome?
Yeah, 2 things. It's exciting. It's exciting to have family come into the game. It's exciting to know you're going to be with great supporters after the game, hopefully celebrating a win. Those kind of things come to mind. But it's also one of the reasons I do like being on the road is that there's actually less distractions. Okay, like I've already handled a couple things this week that I typically wouldn't have to do, right? The players are no different. Who's getting the tickets? When are they getting tickets? Who else has got tickets so that I can get more tickets? We got this whiteout thing that's going on that's really exciting. We got a new uniform going on that's exciting. They're going to raise a banner that this team has nothing to do with. And so really, I'm fired up to see if we'll handle eliminating distractions again this week. And we put that out there yesterday. We talked about practice with great intent. All right, the details matter. Fundamentals and technique is what we're all about. And then home game. Can you eliminate the distractions? Last week, energy was required on the road to win. This week, it'll be an intentional focus on the game. On the game and the game only.
So Conklin moved up the depth chart. What'd you see of him with
Well, Chris
Harris
is
out?
down. Chris is. It's funny. He kind of started really fast in fall camp. I mean, like really fast. Like could potentially be a 3 or 4 team special team guy. He's strong, and he's big, and he runs really well. And then he hit a little bit of a lull, maybe had a drop or two, and then he's just been practicing at a really high level. But, Kate Osterman goes down, Silas Evan goes down. We just, the next guy up, and then let's see how he does, and then reward that guy. And he capitalized on opportunity there, I would say, in week 3 and 4 of fall camp. And then he's just really practiced at a high level. And I think the quarterbacks really like his size and his ability to block in the run game. The running backs appreciate that. He's a team guy. He's got a bright future.
You say Empey might be your most valuable offensive lineman for what he's able to do right now, flexibility-wise?
I wish Trent was in here. No, because we emphasize that so much. But in all reality, depending on the matchup and stuff, too, Emp gives you backup quality at center. And so I think so. And I think this tackle thing's for real. And so I think we have a pretty good idea how the O-line thing's going to shake out. But I think we would be missing the boat if Empey didn't play a little bit of tackle for us. We haven't pulled the tackles much yet, but like when you get to pin and pull schemes, that's going to be another guy that can get out and run. Empey is going to be a heck of a story here. He's on full scholarship now. He walked onto this program. He's in that fight for Chief Ram and all that stuff. And all of a sudden we got 3 guys kind of emerging. I think Bo Johnson played his best game. He was as sudden as I've seen him ever be. Coming off of double teams and getting to contact. Empey's the most valuable right now, yes, but it's a close second would be Fraley.
What about Empey stood out when you saw? Because you saw him a little bit in the recruiting process. What stood out?
No, I recruited him hard. Really, Stoughton does a really good job of developing O-line, teaching it the right way, fundamentals and footwork. It's just on his Wyoming visit, I don't know if he was coming off of being ill a little bit. Awesome family. Man, I enjoy it. His dad's a wrestling coach there. And when I got here, I was just so impressed with the fact that he was 88 or 290. He had put the weight on. He was strong enough. And then his attention to detail with fundamentals is really at a high level. And we had a moment, in the first series of the second half, Emp went the wrong way. And I said, man, every rep matters, and we kind of had a conversation. And I just really appreciated how he handled that, too.
Tom says he's too short for tackle.
Yeah. I would have agreed with him 9 years ago. Back when we needed to be 6'7". That's not true. You got to set the man. You got to make him go through you. You got to get his hands. You got to be athletic. And, I would love to recruit an O-line here someday that's 6'4" across the board and 298 pounds, run like heck and fit their pads and finish plays. And that would be perfect.
Coach, your running back room has, really, stepped up in these weeks. What are you seeing from Brika and Scott that just continue to grow? Because like you said, they left some yards out in the Citadel, and then they responded last week.
I would honestly say that. I have such a great appreciation for guys that are doing well but continue to have a growth mindset, that are embracing the process. DJ has to clean up some things in protection. You know what I mean? Like, he still has a couple of those things to learn and to grow, and he wants to do that. They both practice with unbelievable energy each and every day. That running back room, I never have to go there and say, Sam, only 3 guys hit 85% of their max. They're 7 for 7 almost every week. And so just their intent is right, and they're practicing really well. And that's not to leave out Owen, Miles, Cortez. I mean, right now, like I said at the beginning, right, we seem to be a little deeper than we were last year, and that's exciting.
You're going to see the secondary actually get challenged. It feels like the first 2 games they haven't had really much to do.
Well, that's a good observation. I mean, that's just the truth. I'm not going to overreact like I did last year when, hey, why are the sack numbers down? You know what I mean? The ball literally hasn't gone to the perimeter much. I do think this week we're going to be challenged as far as keeping leverage on the football versus the screen game, the RPO game. And then this guy, he has the ability to throw the outcut to the field. He has the ability to drive seam balls. And so I think our ball out breaks and zone coverage are going to need to be on point. And then we get matched up man-to-man. Make no mistake about it. Their receivers have speed and skill to beat us if we're not on point. And so I'm excited about that. It's kind of like I looked at Darius on the sideline in the third quarter. I said, you play today? Kind of joking with him. And he's like, yeah. And he was still excited because that's what I asked the guys. But you could tell like they're waiting for some opportunities. We missed one. Ryan Jones missed an opportunity for a pick on a completion that they had off the RPO. But outside of that, it's been really pretty clean.
We talked about Reese Kessel last week with you a little bit, and he had another catch on Saturdays. Still a young guy. Is there a chance for him to be part of this as the season goes on and the games maybe are a little bit different?
Yeah, I think each and every week, if I told you we were carrying 100 calls, which is 200 because you flip it, Reese might be on there in the first 2 weeks, maybe 25 of those plays. Each week, his knowledge base grows and expands. Our comfort, right? He's putting change in his pocket. Consistent improvement leads to credibility and trust. And so I hope by the end of the year, he's really challenging those guys for equal reps or however you want to look at it. He's got to continue to get stronger and not more physical. He's a physical guy, but finishing plays and being technically sound in the run game, which you saw him out there a little bit more last week. He's a kid with a bright future. We'd like to see his role continue to expand, but he's in charge of that, not us.
Tim, the portal sounds like it's going to move to January and shrink down. I know we've talked about this often the last couple of years. Your thoughts on moving to January?
Well,
2nd?
just whatever we can do for it not to be 2. Okay, because I think that would add some years to all of us coaches' lives. 2 is difficult. 1, wherever it is, I didn't have that strong of an opinion. Myself and Matt, Colleen have had conversations. I'm not one of these guys that want to get involved with NCAA rules. I had a strong opinion on it. I'm super happy it could go to 1 window. But that's still got to get voted on and so forth and so on. And then, we'll have to maybe adjust. Take last year, for instance. If we were fortunate to be in the national title, I think a coach or two might have to stay back. And the recruiting department might have to stay back for a day to host an official visit. Hey, here's our stuff. Coach Polasek's going to get on a Zoom with you. He's going to see you next Wednesday. Right? Like, that's a window. If you're playing in bowl games and you're in the playoff run and you're deep into this thing, it's going to be a real challenge replacing some players that exit. But that's why we'll continue to recruit high school players.
Coach, home game, what are you guys looking forward to most of being able to play in front of your fans?
Well, I think it's just that. Listen, as important as the game is, I just made a strong point of that. Family's important. These players' relationships with their people. I think the comfort of sleeping in your own bed, being able to organize a couple things for after the game, that's all exciting. If you're talking strictly about the game, what I like is that we've been in this dome. We're pretty good at the dome, and I'm counting on a high energy crowd. I said it before. There's a growing connection to this community, to all the student athletes on campus, to the student body. We're working really hard at it, and I hope I hope that the fans show up and say, we like this football team. And we're here for you, and we're going to create a home field advantage. But on the flip side of that, we got to make home field an edge. We got to come out play well. So the fans are into it. Those things are all exciting. I really look forward to being home after being on the road for 2 weeks.
Talked with Ryan Napoli this morning, and he talked about your guys' relationship. What has it meant to you to see him back here, and what has he meant to this program?
Well, it's really interesting because me and Ryan kind of maybe my maturation or my process was a little bit ahead of his. And we were going through that together, learning, right? And then, he goes off. I stayed connected. Just his knowledge base and his willingness to say, too, with Coach Kramer and him being a team, but his willingness to say, hey, wait, whoa. You know what? Let's look at it from this angle and let's have a conversation here. Yeah, this is the way it's always been done, but we're trying to do it better than it's been done. And his knowledge base and his growth and the love that he has for the players that's consistent will lead to really powerful, strong relationships with our players, and that's the number one thing that matters to me. And I like where we're at health-wise. A lot of credit's got to go to Ryan and the strength department, along with Trish, and we're pretty darn close. I trust Ryan will have the team ready. And I'll share this too. We're in a phase right now. A couple guys, their jumping percentages were a little lower, and I'm not a strength coach. So I go over to Ryan. I kind of have this attitude. Ryan said, Coach, we're going to be just fine. Look at our speed numbers. And then in 2 weeks, he goes, I bet we're +5 in this category. And so we've run this race. They're maxing out next week. We are lifting heavy with this little bit younger football team. And we're going to push these guys, and we're going 24 today, and we're going 24 tomorrow. And I trust the information Knapp's telling me that we're ready to go, and we'll be ready to hum on Saturday.
How have the players responded to the Under Armour gear so far?
Well, for sure, outstanding. I mean, just the care that they have. We appreciate Under Armour so much. It showed up at our Shields event. The personal connection, the answering of the phone. NDSU matters to us. We looked at Under Armour really hard, and we sought them out. But I would say it was equal. Under Armour wanted this brand as much as anything. It's a strong brand, and they've rewarded the players. And the amount of stuff that we have now is really, really good. It's ahead of where we were at. But when you look at a sophomore that's going to have 2-3 years of this stuff, they're going to be wearing Under Armour. And I really like what our administration has done with the student athletes. You can be on campus now and identify a student athlete by a green backpack. That's really cool. The best backpack in the business. And then they have, a student athlete sweatshirt. That stuff wasn't happening before, point blank period. So I'm really excited, and we've only had 1 foot injury to speak of. And so the proof's in the pudding. The cleats and the shoes have been really solid for us. So I'm very pleased.